Hey everyone, I'm John Afreitas. I'm a local real estate agent with Sutton Summer Realty in the Toronto region. And today is July 14th, 2022. It is the day after the Bank of Canada raised interest rates by 100 basis points. This is an increase that we haven't seen really in decades, and it's causing a lot of trepidation and concern in the marketplace. I know there's a lot of questions out there and people are worried whether they should be divesting or even buying real estate at this time. Well, I'm going to shed a little information about what's happening in the market, why it's taking place, and then cover off different scenarios on if you're a buyer or seller and really what does this mean for you right now and how you need to look at things maybe a little differently. So let's get into it. Firstly, the Bank of Canada decided to raise rates 100 basis points yesterday. They were very aggressive in doing this because their position is they'd rather push aggressively now on rates than see potentially downstream into the fall and into the spring of next year a little more pain happening because inflation is still high. Their entire purpose here is to reduce inflation, which is nearing 8%. This is a number we haven't seen in 40 years. So inflation is at a record high state right now, and this is what it's all about. They want to try and put pressure on the market so people will stop spending quite as much to bring that number down. We should be targeting a 2-year annualized inflation rate, and that's exactly where Canada wants to get to. But in order to get to that, this is the push they have to put into place. Now, pundits believe strongly that it's going to take 18 to 24 months for us to get to a point that our inflationary rate is hovering around that targeted 2%. So this means that we're in a state that we can predict pretty much what's going to happen for the next 18 to 24 months. What's going to happen, our prices related to homes will continue to come down somewhat because the increased rates. Now, I don't believe rates are going to continue to skyrocket. We're at 2.5% overnight lending rate currently. Most people believe that it'll get to 3%. So there does seem to be increases coming, but I don't think anyone believes that will continue at this trajectory like we saw yesterday. Now, why is all this happening? Well, we have such uncertainty in the marketplace right now. Firstly, gas is 50% higher now than it was a year ago. We also have significant supply chain issues going on. We have a war in Ukraine, which is causing uncertainty and turmoil in the marketplace. And then all this kind of allows you to ask yourself, well, this seems a lot similar to what happened perhaps in the late 80s. There was a super high inflation, everything cost so much more money, and we had a massive meltdown in housing prices. Isn't that going to happen again? No, that's not going to happen again. That is not going to happen again. And here's why. We have different things at play. I'll tell you what, currently, we're coming out of a COVID lockdown. So there's this built up demand and surge that's happening in the marketplace. We didn't see that, 50 years ago. There's also this unprecedented unemployment rate. People are working and there are jobs available. So that didn't take place back at that last meltdown that we had seen. And then immigration growth is through the roof, and we're going to continue to see upwards of 400,000 new Canadians coming to this region every single year, and that's going to have incredible pressure in the area for housing. So things are not quite the same as they were back in the late 80s when the market crashed. So that's not a prediction that I would certainly agree to. Now, saying all these things, what does this mean for anyone in the marketplace who's looking to either buy, sell, or if you're an investor? Now, if you're a buyer in this market, you're likely going to be concerned that, it's going to cost you more to carry a property. But what you should also be considering is that the price of a home has come down, in the double-digit percentage, and it will continue to come down somewhat. So it's a good time to buy right now. You're actually going to be in a better position buying now than the fact that interest rates are going to the roof, because likely if you wait out that 24-month window, we're going to see price increases come back again. So it is a good time to buy. Now, if you're selling a property, you're likely also going to buy a property. So sure, you're selling it for less, but you're selling it for less than you would have got, but you're also buying a property for a lot less than you would have paid. So it's really an apples to apples scenario. And if you're really looking to divest and you're thinking, I want to unload this property that I have and it just lost 15% of equity. Well, I can tell you that unless you bought that property like 5 months ago, you don't need to be concerned. If you bought that property 2 years ago, you're well ahead of the game. And if you bought that property 10 years ago, what are you crying about? I mean, you honestly have doubled your investment practically. So it's not that it's not a good time to sell. It's absolutely still a great time to sell. Finally, if you're an investor, it really boils down to several things. You cannot really look at fix and flips. This is not the time for that. You need to be focused on buy and hold. Is it possible to find positive cash flow out there? It's really difficult, but not impossible. And one of the reasons that the odds of getting some positive cash flow are still possible is because of the fact that rental rates are increasing. And I believe firmly they're going to continue to increase because of what's happening out there in the marketplace. There will be more and more people opting to rent, and that will drive that demand up. So what you're seeing here in the marketplace obviously is unprecedented to a certain degree. But I would argue that it's still an excellent time to get into the market. And as a matter of fact, the reality is that most people benefit in the market when the market's on the way down. Again, it boils down to it's not what you sell a property for, it's what you buy a property for. So this marketplace certainly is different. There is a lot happening, but there's a lot of benefits and things that you need to be aware of before you make a decision on a buy, sell, or an investment trade. If you want more information on what's happening in this marketplace and more insights as to maybe what you should be focused on or doing if you're an investor, I'd be happy to talk through it with you. Again, I'm John Freitas, a local real estate agent with Sutton Summer Realty in Mississauga, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you on any questions related to real estate transactions you have in the future. Take care, everyone. Bye.